Hey, hey, party people. Thanks for joining me again. It's lovely to see you. Today we have a nice practice to unlock the hips. We're focusing mainly on the glutes and the groins, strengthening and lengthening. If you want to grab a block for this practice, you may. I don't believe you'll need it, but this is your practice. So if you want to have one, you can grab one. And then all you need is your yoga mat, and we can get started. All right, so we start today sitting on the knees. You can also sit in easy seat if this is uncomfortable for the knees, but switching it up. So I'm sitting on my knees, lifting up in whatever seat we're finding ourselves through the crown of the head, starting to connect to our breath and leave other things behind, other responsibilities, other parts of our day. We're letting them go, and we're coming into the here and the now. So take one big breath in through the nose and exhale it all out. On your next inhale, reach the arms above the head, big reach. And exhale, cactus, then drawing the shoulder blades together, finding space between the fingers. Inhale to reach, and exhale to cactus and open. One more time. Make this one big, reach the fingertips up, and exhale. Maybe we take a slight back bend here with it if that feels good to you as well. Releasing the hands and coming onto an ankle stretch. This one is kind of intense, so only go as far as feels good. Taking the hands behind us, coming onto the knees if we weren't already, and just rocking back, lifting the knees up into the air just to the point where we feel the stretch in the top of the foot and the connection point to the ankle. So we can kind of move around, see what height feels better. Ooh, we come onto the toes, we crack all the toes. Just taking one more breath here, nothing crazy. Then releasing the knees down and coming onto the palms of the hands, finding our tabletop pose. Grounding through the hands, the tops of the feet. Inhale to drop the belly, lift the gaze. And exhale to round through the back, finding our cat. Just taking about 5 rounds. Going at your own pace, just enjoying this beautiful back and forth movement as we synchronize with our breath. Then open up through the front and back of the body. Beautiful. And whenever we feel mobilized, we meet back in tabletop pose, grounding through the left leg, raising the right behind, flexing the foot, donkey kick. Then taking this knee out to the side, connecting to your core, drawing the knee up towards the elbow and back underneath. So just making huge circles with the knee, gripping through the fingertips, keeping these nice and slow, just opening up through the hip joint. Here we go. We'll take one more for good measure here. Gently release, grounding through that leg to donkey kick up the left. And then find our circle, taking it out to the side, trying to only move through the hip joint, really making huge Circles with the knee, finding mobility that will help with our flexibility. And meeting back in tabletop whenever we feel balanced and evened out. Taking the feet up, crossing them at the ankles, and then sitting back on the hips, coming into bound angle pose. So sending the soles together, opening through the inner hips, sending the knees energetically down through the mat. Inhale, lift the chest, nice long spine, feeling grounded and rooted here. Exhale, start to slowly pull the chest down towards the feet, opening up even further through the groins, breathing nice and easy. And on your next inhale, lifting the chest back up, releasing the left hand, taking the right elbow down towards the leg and reaching that left arm up. Side body stretch. Beautiful. We still want both of these sit bones down on the mat. And exhale, reach that left hand behind the back, trying to find the small of the back here, and then taking the elbow as far back as we can just to deepen this little twist for one breath. And then gently coming out, making our way back to center to switch sides. Reaching that right arm overhead, making these movements nice and big and expressive, but intentional and conscious as well. So reaching behind the lower back, finding the small of the back here, and opening, taking our gaze slightly behind us. Coming back through center, planting the hands behind the hips, fingertips towards the hips. Exhale, press the feet together and send the hips up towards the sky. Still opening through the groin, sending the knees down, gripping through the fingers. Hold here. Beautiful. One breath. And exhale to release, coming onto the sit bones, extending both legs long, trying to reach for the big toes, both big toe pose. So finding our balance here first. Then maybe extending one leg and the other. Finding your spot, wherever that is. We can keep the legs bent. Maybe we're in boat pose instead. We can slowly open the legs, testing our balance, challenging ourselves if it feels comfortable to do so. Still connecting to the core. And exhale, bend the knees. Plant the feet as wide as the yoga mat. Taking the hands again behind the hips, windshield wiper the legs a little bit. Just give them some ease, some little comfort between these balancing, challenging poses. And then when both of the knees are on the right side, we lift our chest up, take that left leg behind us slightly, finding our deer pose, squaring off to this right hip, so really opening up through that left hip flexor. Sitting up nice and tall, taking in these sweet moments, observing whatever comes to mind as we open the hips today. Maybe we're unlocking some feelings, some deep-rooted emotions we didn't know we were going through. And that's okay. But we're here to do the work. Releasing back into our windshield wipers, just taking a few of these to kind of even yourself out before taking deer pose on the other side. Letting the knees drop to the left, making sure you find your comfortable position to yourself. Deer pose kind of looks a little awkward, I feel like, but I think it feels pretty good. Sending the pelvis down into the mat, very active with that, lifting up through the crown, making sure we don't have any pain or discomfort. One more deep, big breath. Fill the belly with air, send oxygen to the brain, nourish your cells, and exhale. We can start to slowly come out. Taking this right leg in front, we're going to come to the top of the mat standing. So if you want to kind of rock up, roll up, jump up, however you want to get to the top of the mat. We meet in mountain pose, grounding down through the feet. Inhale, reach the arms up high. Exhale, hands to heart center. Taking a little check-in at this moment, how you're doing. Maybe closing the eyes to help yourself go within. Just observing, not judging. Sending yourself love wherever you are, mentally, emotionally. And then inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, flat back, dive down, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, reach through the crown of the head. And exhale, forward fold. Planting the hands, stepping back to plank pose. Connecting to the core before we slowly lower down with control. Taking a vinyasa, we meet in downward facing dog. In your own time, at your own pace. Grounding through the left leg, raising the right up high. Keeping the hips square, holding here for a moment. Then bending the knee, bringing it up to the chest, hold it tight, tight, tight. In, and then release the foot in between the hands, coming into low lunge. We can keep that back foot tucked as we inhale, sweep the arms up high. Exhale, sink down into the hips. One more breath. And exhale, rain the fingertips down to step up into plank pose and take a vinyasa. Beautiful. Always coming back to the breath, this beautiful tool. Grounding through the right leg, raising the left up high. Hold here for a breath, squaring the hips. Bending the knee, bring it in high through the chest. Keep it here. And then plant it in between the hands. That's really aggressive sounding. Inhale, reach the arms up. And exhale, sink. Tuck the shoulders down away from the ears. One more breath. Inhale. And exhale, rain the fingertips down. Planting the fingertips on either side of the foot, but stepping up. So rock to step up. And inhale. Reach the chest up high. Releasing the hands down by the sides. Going to ground through the left foot. Picking up the right knee into the chest. And exhale, extend the leg long, reaching for the big toe with the left hand. Peeling that right arm back once we find our balance. Taking our gaze wherever feels comfortable and natural. And then facing the front of the mat, releasing the leg, keeping it held up here. Coming into our warrior three, seeing how controlled we can make this. Take the leg out to the side, hip height. Turn the leg and make your way into warrior three. Nice and slow, controlled. Take your time. Ground through that left foot. Beautiful. Chest is parallel to the mat. One big breath here. Exhale, release the foot, high lunge, arms up high. You did it. Inhale and exhale to revolve. Reach that left arm behind you. Spread the fingertips wide. Then plant that left hand and reach the right back. Big side body stretch. Windmill the arms around to frame the foot. Runner's lunge. Chest is lifted. Then pivoting on the feet. Flexing the right up. Coming into a Skandasana. Side lunge. Finding our comfy spot here. Reaching the hips down and the chest up. Inhale, right arm comes high to the sky as we breathe. And exhale, let it float back down, pivot to the front of the mat as we lower this left knee and come into our pigeon pose. So make sure we find a little space here, and I recommend scooting back on the mat so we have space in front of you. If you have practiced with me before, if you've done some of my classes, we have a move called the running pigeon coming up. So you'll need a little bit more space in front of you. Not too much, but just a little bit more than normal. We'll be going off the mat. So taking 2 more breaths here. Maybe we're on the elbows. We're just opening through that left glute. Still active in the right leg. Inhale to lift the chest and tuck this back leg. Reach up and step to the side. So it's a little side lunge. Here we can use the hands to help guide us there. And then we come back into our pigeon pose. Now with practice, this will become more familiar, more graceful, but it is such a great opener for the glutes and the groins. We're strengthening as well as stretching. And we can find our little flow here. If we can start to do it without the hands, this will be the last one, I promise. So whenever you're here with, we're going to sit back on the bum, tuck that left foot underneath you, cross the right over, finding our cow face pose. So taking a moment to settle in. Find your posture. Send the arms out, shoulder height, and cross the left underneath the right, meeting palms together. As we inhale, reach up, create space in the upper body. Breathing nice and deep. And on your next exhale, gently release, cradling this right top leg into the chest like a little baby, still sitting up tall. You can also extend this left leg if that makes it a little bit more accessible. Maybe it just feels better. Just opening up through this hip, rock your body. Beautiful. And gently release. Step that right foot in front and come up to standing. Shake it all out to do it all again. So inhale, reach the left knee this time into the chest. And then exhale, extend the leg, grabbing for the toes, peeling that left arm back, squeezing everything in, holding it up tight, reversing some slump posture, just opening up. Beautiful. Coming back to center, releasing the leg, and noticing how it may feel different to transition to Warrior 3 on this side. It might be a little bit more challenged on one side than the other. That's completely normal. completely normal. We are balancing in our warrior 3. And exhale, release to our high lunge. Arms come up, reach for the sky. And exhale, revolve. Send that left heel back. Then reach the left arm overhead, deepening the stretch. And windmilling the arms around, runner's lunge. Before pivoting on the feet, side lunge, flexed left foot, and reach that left arm up high to the sky. Big breaths. And exhale. Turn to face the front of the mat, coming into our pigeon pose, where we scoot back a little bit now that we know what's coming. So find our comfy spot here. Take your time to settle in. Working through that right glute now. And just sitting with ourselves, with whatever has come up for you today, knowing that it's all valid and that we create a safe space for ourselves to feel these things. So let them flow, let them come. We'll inhale, press up, release the chest. Coming into our running pigeon. Let's see how it is on this side. Whoop. Corner lunge. And send the leg back. I find it's easier if we keep that back foot, the toes tucked underneath, kind of gives you momentum a little bit to rock into the side lunge. And it also is a different feeling, a different stretch for your glutes, your hip flexors. One more. We'll meet in our side lunge to the corner of the mat. And then we will meet in cow face pose. Can we just sit on the sit bones, gently wrapping the left leg around, stacking our knees as close together as we can. Inhale, lift up, and exhale. Let the arms come out to the sides as we draw the right underneath the left and try to reach palms together. Taking nice, full, even breaths. One more here. One more here. Before releasing on the exhale, cradling that left leg into the chest. Again, finding whatever variation feels good to your body right now. Starting to slow down the breath. If it got up there, mine did. Those were running pigeons. And we can gently release the left leg. And finding another twist, we can come into staff pose, or we can have the soles of the feet on the mat, knees pointed up. We're just going to take a small little twist to help us cool down this practice, reaching the right arm behind. Left comes to the opposite leg. 2 even breaths here. Calming down the nervous system, detoxifying the body. Coming through center and switching sides. Not forcing anything, just being. And then meeting back in center, we slowly make our way down onto the back. Roll down. Placing the left foot on the mat, right ankle crosses over the left knee, and we hug both knees into the chest. This should feel great after this practice, really stretching out the outer glutes. Well, the right one right now. Pressing the lower back into the mat, feeling supported and at ease. We can stay here, or we can deepen this twist if it feels okay. You can cross the feet over a little bit more, stacking the knees together, reverse cow face pose. I don't know why I didn't just say that in the beginning. Grabbing onto opposite feet, pulling them into the chest or maybe further away. Playing around to find what feels good. And then taking one deep breath of stillness, relieving tension on the exhale. And on our next breath, we can gently unravel the legs to switch, crossing the left ankle over the right and taking both knees into the chest, opening up through the left glute, sending it some love. Taking these last few quiet moments for yourself. And finding our reverse cow face pose if we want to. There we go, beautiful. Maybe closing the eyes at this point in our practice, allowing ourselves to go deeper within and tune out other distractions. Exhale to gently unravel the legs, coming into happy baby, sending the feet up and reaching for the shins, the ankle, the big toes, letting the legs fall open, relieving the groins and the lower back, maybe rocking side to side, finding a lower back massage. Gently releasing the hands, letting the feet fall to the mat, soles together, reclined bound ankle pose. Or we can rest in corpse pose as well. If we want one last hip opener, we can rest in reclined bound angle, taking the hands wherever they want to fall, on top of the thighs, the belly, by the sides. Just allowing ourselves to feel heavy as we draw down into the mat. We feel supported and grounded by the earth beneath us as it lifts up to hold us in its sweet little embrace. Relaxing the forehead and the jaw and the shoulders. Letting the stress melt away and focusing on our breath whenever our mind starts to wander. Finding a few breaths of stillness and quiet trying to resist the urge to fidget. And whenever you're ready, we can gently wiggle fingers, start to come back into the body. Maybe close the legs and roll onto one side before gently pressing up to a seated position. Thank you for taking this time for yourself today and sharing your practice with me. The light in me honors the light in you, and I look forward to practicing with you again very soon. Namaste.